John, good afternoon.
It's good to
It's
see you,
nice to
Ricardo.
see you
Yeah,
again. John Devore is now a very well-known person in the industry of loudspeakers, and certainly in my humble opinion, in the and correct me if I'm wrong, in the artisanal assembly of loudspeakers.
yeah, that's
It,
fair. Yes,
made in a Brooklyn studio,
Brooklyn, New
correct?
York. Yep,
A great analog lover, I believe, as well.
absolutely. Yes, yes,
I believe you've now got your own blog on on vinyl recommendations, correct?
yeah. Record reviews mostly, or whatever happens to be on my mind. But yeah,
I love it. I love it.
yeah,
So anyway, we're now in a pure musical environment, and it's important that we recognize that. And so Devore Fidelity is a brand that has been taken by the 10 collection for the top models, and for the wider audience, we've allowed Absolute Sounds to distribute them as well. So, John, first of all, I've got a question.
yes.
Why orangutan?
All of my speaker models have been named after various apes from the very beginning. The first ones were gibbons, then I had silverbacks, and then when I wanted to introduce a higher sensitivity speaker, I realized that with the larger woofer, the speaker itself was going to have to be much wider. And so that suggested the orangutan with this big wide face as it seemed like a natural choice. I'm using the ape names for sort of two reasons. One of them, before I started the company officially 23 years ago, I was building sort of commission speakers and just for myself. And I built in the mid 90s, I built a pair of speakers for a friend of mine that it was a small little stand mount two-way speaker, and the end result was so much fun, very enjoyable, really just sort of like a whimsical kind of speaker. And I just named it a gibbon. And I incorporated a lot of what I learned building those speakers into the very first Devore Fidelity products. So that was a natural. But the other reason, and maybe the more important reason, is to try to, I want to poke a little fun at this idea that what we're doing here is so serious and so important, and there's a tendency to name products the extreme, ultimate, Mark 7. It's sort of a heavy-handedness. It's like they're compensating for something. I don't know what it is. And for me, my whole approach, the whole reason that I even care about hi-fi is to sit down and relax and enjoy music and think about the artists that are playing in front of me virtually. And the last thing I don't want big. It's the same with the styling of the speakers. I want the styling of all my speakers is very understated. It's if the style knob, you see some speakers are turned up to 11. My style knob is turned down to like 6, 5. I want them to blend into a room, not to always be calling attention to themselves.
Oh, well,
When I'm listening to them, I don't want to be looking at the damn speakers. I want to not even think about them. It's about the music.
of course, all manufacturers have the right, the good ones, to believe that their design is the best, and we're not going to go against that trend. But and some like some things and some like others. But what always I find amazing with your buyer, the person that buys your speaker, and I wouldn't call it its market is driven by marketing, because you're very humble the way we see. You have obviously a good social media profile, but it's not like that. That's not the factor that drives your speaker. So I think there's a lot of word of mouth,
Yeah.
and that pure enjoyment that I see from your clients. the people that buy your product. It's almost like a thrill. It's almost like reaching, I would say, euphoria. Why are we really going to go home? And they listen to classic records, to 70s music, 80s music, 60s music, whatever they fancy. And they go through that total repertoire with the same joy. Any secrets there? Is it because you obsessively listen and voice them like that?
That's probably what it is, yeah. My design process. So there's a few things that maybe are a little different from maybe a more typical speaker company. One of them is that I am 100% of the designer. Everything about the speaker is designed by me. There's no, there is no other engineer in the company. I do work with the engineers at Seos, to get the drivers, the woofers, and the tweeters where I need them to be. But it really is, it's me, and so it's going to be my taste. And then the way that the design happens for Devore Fidelity, it's kind of it's a circular process. So the process has three, it's sort of a carousel with three horses on it. One is measuring, one is prototyping and building, and the other is listening. And there is no beginning and end in that carousel. So I'll have an idea for a model. I'll build up maybe a prototype. Maybe I'll do a couple of simulations on the computer, and then we'll get that process going. And then it keeps on rotating until it's done. And for a pair of speakers, the O-Reference took 6 years of that process to finally be finished. And throughout that process, anyone who's seen my YouTube channel knows that my office, the room that that designing is happening in, or 95% of that designing is happening in, is all music. 10,000 records on the walls, 12 terabytes of music on the computer. And so it is all types of music getting played throughout that process.
We've identified that. That is a universal music type of loudspeaker.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's very important.
It doesn't get funneled into a little pipeline like this is a classical music speaker, this is a classic rock speaker. It really has to work with everything that I'm listening to, otherwise it's not finished.
Will you? I mean, obviously, you're entering, your success is rising. Are you going to be a bit like a custom company that's I don't want to go above that level, or?
There's only a certain level where we can get to. Yeah, I don't want to change the nature of what we do. So we have the capability gradually to about double our output. Past that would mean too many changes at this point.
Yeah, as you well know, Ferrari over the years has limited their productions, and it has not changed dramatically from 10 years ago. So you would classify your company in that sort of
we don't want to. Yeah, exactly. We don't want to
production.
Change. We don't want to outsource things to big factories or anything like that. We want to really make sure that all of our products are always built in that same way.
So, guys, you've heard that. You'll have continuity and consistency.
Yes.
And one question. I have a lot of records as well, and I'm always buying. As you know, there's this famous saying, what is the ideal collection? And the ideal collection is your collection plus one. So it's a never-ending story.
It's true,
but so when people ask me what's your favorite record, I cannot come up with it. But can you let your viewers or your followers know at least one of your favorite records, one that comes back?
Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life.
Oh, wow. You're going to get a lot of fans for that.
That's always one that anytime, I can always put it on and it's always satisfying.
Oh, it's a fantastic, oh wow, what a choice, what a choice. It would have been one of the Stevie Wonders for me as well. I don't know if it would be Sound of Key Life, but
Yeah.
all that period is magic.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So many perfect records from that. Yeah.
We recently saw a fantastic video about Little Richard.
Oh,
you
wow.
see that,
Yeah, the documentary, I haven't seen it yet.
State of the art.
Yeah.
And
he was incredible. He invented or perfected so many things that performers take for granted, and he never gets any credit for it. He's a remarkable performer.
even down to the dressing, when he came there, he was
Yep.
from Macon, Georgia, or somewhere like that, and he was wearing already frill things with
Yep.
sparkles,
Yeah.
and being gay, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's extraordinary when you put everything together. In that documentary, you see accolades from David Bowie, Elton John, Mick Jagger. Everybody says we got inspired.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the way Prince was a performer.
Prince, of
Yeah, or
course.
Hendrix. I mean,
And Ziggy Stardust and all that. You
all
know,
of that. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. Yep.
Well, we end up on a musical note here.
Yeah. Appropriately.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thanks, Ricardo.